Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. All right, guys, today we are going to dive in on this Bullet Points episode into a Washington Post opinion piece. Now, on Bullet Points, we always dive into the why and the what and what these people are truly saying and communicating with each other, because this is where the gun controllers live. But one thing that I want to absolutely make clear is not the fact that they're losing the Supreme Court case in their view. They may or they may not be. That's not the point of this video. I want you to pay attention to what they're saying and really put it in perspective and context of the country in which we live in versus the country that they idealize. Okay, this is really, really crucial. It's linked in the description box below, and I want to hear what you think on this because this is how you adjust this conversation to these gun controllers because they're going through almost an existential crisis. It's important, check it out, but let's dive into this article because I want to hear what you guys think. Opinion. The Supreme Court is poised to make us all live under Texas's gun laws, which is completely not true. The question is not can you do a constitution carry in New York. The question is can the state deny you a permit? Very different, quite sensationalist. But let's dive in because that's kind of what the left does a lot, right? They make a sensationalist claim and they never back it up. The Supreme Court is apparently preparing to send us a message. No matter where you live, no matter what you and your neighbors feel, you'll have to live with the idea that just about anyone who wants to will be able to carry a gun in your community. If you've ever said, quote, "I'm glad I don't live in a place where people are armed," you may no longer have any choice. Again, this is about feel. This is not about reality. They've constructed these little bubbles of safety and perceived safety inside these gun control zones. They live in a broad nation called America. They have a Second Amendment right which they choose to neglect, and they impose that neglect on others. But what's happening now is the false premise that they've set up for themselves the past 20 years that they've gotten very comfortable with. It was outside the norm of the Second Amendment and interpretation of the Constitution in the Bill of Rights. Now it's reverting to the mean, and they don't know how to handle it because what they're describing, they're living in America. It's the rules of the land, the Constitution. But because they've lived in this false pretense, they're having a culture shock. And that's actually what this article goes into, a culture shock. But this is really crucial because it's not that we're changing everything into Texas. What's happening is it's reverting to the way that it was originally intended, and they can't handle. Precisely how far the court will go is still unknown, but in oral arguments Wednesday in a lawsuit challenging New York State's requirement that those who want a permit to carry a gun in most places must show a special need for self-protection, distinguishable from that of the general community, a few things became clear. So that's just the case backup, right? I don't know who hasn't heard about this, but that's what they did. First, there's three things. First, the court is almost certain to strike down the New York law. Almost certain. Okay, I'll take that. All six conservative justices expressed skepticism of New York's regulation, and some, especially Samuel Alito, Clarence Thomas, and Neil Gorsuch, have made clear even before now that they are eager to expand the scope of gun rights as soon as possible. And this is again back to the same point. They are not expanding gun rights. They are reverting to the mean of the Constitution. The left has pushed the Overton window so far in their own minds that if you go back to the mean, it's untenable. It's too far. That's the point. They've done this across the board with all their policies. Inch, inch, inch. All of a sudden, you're a mile away, and to go a mile is too far. This is the game that they play. It's important that we call them on it. Second, when the court does so, it will probably, for the first time in American history, create an individual right not just to own guns, which the court established also for the first time in our history in 2008, but to carry them in public places. The point is, it's in the Constitution, the right to keep and bear arms. They made us go into a Heller decision because they started to restrict that right and they made it a constitutional question, in which case the Supreme Court sided with the Constitution in that Heller decision. But in the leftist mind, what they said was, oh, the court's giving us rights we never had before. No, the court is reestablishing rights you attempted to take away. This is the exact same thing in the New York Carry case because they're attempting to prevent people from carrying guns in public based off their own procedures and their own perceptions of guns, not off the Constitution. And the same thing's happening here. It's not adding gun rights, it's reverting gun rights to the mean. And that's a very important piece to understand. And third, when they do so, they will be in effect taking the gun culture of conservative states and forcing the rest of us to live under it. No, not at all. They are enforcing the existing Constitution in the Second Amendment. You have crossed it. They are now reverting it back to the mean. It's a far cry from allowing someone to have a permit for a pistol in New York City versus having a gun on the back of your truck in Texas. That's a far cry, but they're trying to draw similarities here, which is a bit of a stretch. And here's the last thing I wanted to bring to you, because this is how they close up this article. But what the Supreme Court is posed to do is say to every American, you live in Oklahoma now. People are just going to be carrying guns around. Well, that's the Second Amendment. We can always carry guns around. We don't know precisely how far the court will go in this regard, but it's obvious they're going to keep steadily expanding gun rights. And if the presence of those guns terrifies you and your family, if it ruins part of your culture and the character of your community, tough luck. Here's the thing that they don't understand. In this New York case, even in the Supreme Court questions, they were saying you can make special places where you can't have guns, right? Yes, you can, but you can't prohibit the ability to have guns. That was the whole argument. What these guys are doing is they're sensationalizing it to make Oklahoma become New York City. Because I guarantee you, New York City is not becoming Oklahoma. Just saying, or vice versa. And that's what I have for you guys on the bullet points. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will see you tonight at 9 to 10 p.m. segment. Braden, signing out.